That's rolling. Okay, Aubrey, thank you for being here.
Yeah, of
I
course.
wanted to start by saying I went to your facility about a month ago and was very impressed and very happy to see a baseball and softball facility here because we're in Montana.
Yep.
So can you tell me about what it is, what you do, and the idea behind it?
Yeah. So I own the Lab 406, and the Lab 406 is indoor batting cages. We're known to be open to pass holders on the weekdays and then open to the public on the weekends. We do, weekend rentals and one-time rentals and birthday parties and events and all that fun stuff on the weekends. And on the weekdays, we have more of a kind of a training mindset. So we have teams that come in for team rentals. You can get on a pass and you can do a membership there. You can get on a punch pass and do that too. But kind of have this training vibe throughout the weekdays. And then on the weekends, we like to party at the place. So,
Very cool. I'm
mhm.
going to ask you a selfish question first. So if I want to come hit every day or every couple of days, what's the best option for me just as an individual, not as a team?
I think probably the membership, looking into our membership options, probably would be your better bet. We have a monthly option and then we have an annual pass option.
Okay,
So if you're one of those players that's going to be coming in multiple times a week, 2 or 3 times a week, that's exactly why we built that pass, is so you can have that monthly membership, just like a gym membership kind of gig.
cool. So if
hmm
you have the annual, then it's just, is it based on availability? Is it weekdays and weekends? How does that?
It's unlimited daily access. So you
Okay,
can get up to 1 hour a day, every day, if you wanted to come in. And then it gets you access on the weekends. It gets you access on the weekdays. We are open 3 p.m. to 9 p.m., but that pass holder spot does allow you to be, code certified. So we just give you guys a code and then you guys are able to go in there by yourself once you've done some demos with the pitching machines and we know what you're doing in there,
yeah,
then we end up just giving you the code. So,
very cool.
mhm.
Where and why did this start and why'd you open this up?
Yeah. So I moved to Bozeman 4 years ago, and I came out here originally to coach. And so I started coaching at Gallatin High School for softball.
Okay,
But that really wasn't, I've never been a high school coach before. I've always been a private instructor and I've done private clinics and classes. And so I was asking the locals, hey, where's your local indoor facility, like indoor batting cages? And they said, we don't have one. And I said, that's crazy. How do you not have one? So um, went ahead and somebody had to do it. So I opened it up and was able to get it all going here on January 11th is when we opened back in 2025. So, or back, what is it? Not even
yeah, earlier
this
this year.
earlier
Yeah,
this
yeah,
year. Yeah. And yeah, I had a smaller place for the last couple years in Bozeman, but this big facility was meant to be, for the public, for team rentals and bigger and better. I was a little nervous about opening up such a big space, but it's gotten a lot of love from the whole community, from everybody. So
very cool.
mhm.
And it's four cages or 4 lanes, correct?
Yes, 4 batting cages, 4 60-foot long batting cages.
And are you holding you hold camps there or anything there now?
We hold clinics and camps. We do summer camps for the most part. You'll see us host a lot of kids camps over the summertime. And then in the wintertime, we have more of a clinic style or class style where it's kind of like a reoccurring training program essentially that we build for local baseball, softball players around the area.
Very cool.
hmm
Are you coaching at all now?
I am.
Okay,
Yes. I think it's kind of hard to wear both hats. Obviously, as a small business owner, you have to do it all, but I love coaching, and that's originally why I built the place in general. So selfishly, I built the place so I could continue to coach.
very cool.
Mhm.
So you're coaching the high school softball team still?
No, I actually stepped back. I just knew that if I tried to do both at the same time, high school required a lot of travel across the state during that season, and somebody had to stay back and run the facility. So I stepped back. I only did a year of high school coaching, and then I stepped back and I started doing private coaching 3 years ago. So what you'll see me either lurking around the facility doing private lessons or clinics, or you'll see me kind of just doing some front desk work every once in a while.
Okay, so all the coaching you're doing now is either private coaching with a team or for an individual.
Correct. Yes. So I get asked, I kind of do a plethora of coaching. So I played international ball across seas. And so they asked me to come back as a manager for them next year for the women's national team. And then I coach kids as young as 6 years old for private lessons. So I have some relationships with some college teams that I go up and I help do some mental training sessions and stuff like that. And then I go back and I do clinics for younger kids as well. So my age range is for coaching is like 7 to 22 usually, within that range of players. So
Very cool.
huge range.
What's the baseball scene around here? Like the hardball, I think, as I told you, I play in the men's hardball league, and then
Hmm.
there's the club team. Do you have a big presence of youth teams and high school teams at the facility?
There's some really exciting things happening here in Bozeman. They actually just passed the initiative to have high school baseball go to Gallatin and Bozeman High School. And then they also have the Legion team out here. So there's multiple Legion teams. There's the Belgrade Bandits, the Bozeman Bucks, Gallatin Valley, and they all come into the facility on a weekly basis and train. Whether they're a pass holder or they're coming in as a team, I see them pretty often. And then the MSU club baseball team comes in and trains twice a week as well.
Nice.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's so cool that I'm from you're from the West Coast,
Hmm.
Washington.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm from the East Coast, and baseball is just big where I grew up, and
Hmm.
I love it here. But like that's the damper for me is the not the baseball scene that we have on the
Right.
coast where
I know it's kind of it's not very strong out here. I mean, obviously for obvious reasons, I think it's a little cold
yeah
and it can be kind of you know, nobody wants to be super, super cold and be waiting their turn sometimes. So it's definitely a sunny sport thing. However, I grew up in Seattle area and I'm a huge Mariners fan. My family's been really into baseball. I actually played baseball with my brothers growing up. And then I moved to softball when I was about 11 or 12.
okay.
Um, and there's a huge baseball presence over in the Seattle area. And that was kind of actually one of the things I put in my business pitch was if Washington State can have such a huge following with their weather situation, why couldn't Montana, you know?
Yeah, what does the high school season look like right now?
The high school season goes from like early March to late May.
Mm,
It's a pretty small season, I
yeah,
would want to say. Hmm.
and they don't do anything in the fall just because it's
Yeah,
yeah
there's a lot of implications when it comes to high school ball. The coach themselves, and they do this at the collegiate level too, that they can only coach you during the season that they have you for the most part. When you're playing at the high school level, they're kind of limited to be demanding you to be training on the out like if you've got volleyball season going on, if you've got basketball season going on, the high school coach can only do so much. However, there are open gyms. So I've seen local communities, their softball programs are already in the weight room right now working out together. And that's a player led thing. So if it's coach led, it kind of is frowned upon in the fall time and the winter time. But a lot of, programs will have player led programs where their seniors are the ones leading the open gyms and they're continuously practicing.
yeah that makes sense.
Hmm.
Actually, I lived in Washington for a couple of years, and I played in a summer league, fall league, and yeah, the fall league was tough, but a lot of the fields we played on were turf,
Hmm.
which was nice just
Hmm.
for drainage and
Right. Yeah.
we played most of the games. And,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's another thing. I don't see a whole lot of, I mean, I see a lot of beautiful softball fields out here, but not a single one of them are turf, which I found
yeah,
very
there's the
different.
whole
The
complex right
complex,
behind
yeah,
us. Yeah,
exactly. They're all regular fields, and so they get and not to say, turf doesn't get rained out, but that's what I grew up with. I didn't,
yeah.
it rained every single day in Washington, so we had to have a turf field. It was a necessity.
Hi, folks. Quick note from me. If you don't already know, the goal of Mountain Mule Media is to build real connection between Montana's businesses and the people they serve. If this episode or any other has given you something worth thinking about, smiling at, or passing along, I've got a small ask. Share it with a friend, text it to someone, post it in your story. That one simple action helps these businesses get seen, grow, and thrive, and it helps this show keep going. Thank you for supporting these Montana businesses. Now back to the show. What's your background in softball? What positions did you play and who did you play with?
So like I said, I grew up in Washington area. I got recruited to play at University of Utah for college ball. They recruited me as an outfielder. And I stayed an outfielder. I've been an outfielder my entire life. I'm a lefty hitter. And they told me when I was 20, so I don't sound British, but I have British citizenship because my mom is from Great Britain. And
Except for the way you said mom.
yes, and my coach played in Italy, and she told me, "Hey, you can go play for the Great Britain women's national team if you wanted to." And I said, "They play softball in London?" And she said, "Yeah, they play softball." So I joined the team when I was 20, and I did that for 7 years. It took me to about 13 different countries to play ball. I think my favorite country was Japan to play ball. We did world championships, we did Olympic qualifiers, we did European championships every year. So I got to play against the best of the best, and really, really grateful to have the coaching and the competition that I got to see at the best of the best level. Um, and then I actually retired 2 years ago.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you said you've got a psychology degree as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Yeah.
So how do you mix that degree with your your sports background and your softball background? Is that I imagine they intertwine a lot,
Oh, a
especially with the coaching.
bunch. Oh, yeah. I mean, sports psychology is obviously that's my favorite thing to study about, because that kind of combines the two passions that I have. And so I double majored in psychology and human development with an emphasis in early childhood education. So it's a mouthful, but basically I spent a lot of time studying youth development and brain behavior. So, I mean, if you are any job that requires working with kids, that psychology degree is going to help you out a bunch, because you're helping them mentally develop and physically develop and emotionally develop. And that's psychology within a nutshell. I think when I first got the degree, they told me, hey, if you wanted to do anything in this realm, you'd have to continue on to do, like a master's degree and mental health counseling. And I didn't think I wasn't very good at school, I'm not going to lie. So I didn't want to continue doing school, but I also felt that it was super, super important that kids see on a daily basis have this training and have this background, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a coach, whether you're a counselor. I think it's important to have the background that I do have in youth development. So I definitely found a good use for my degree with coaching, especially.
How much of the coaching you're doing is mental versus, physical and mechanical?
What is the quote Yogi Berra
It's got
says?
the 90.
Yeah, baseball is 10% physical and 90% mental.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, you see it happen, the mental shift from when kids turn from like 12 to 13 years old. Whether you're a baseball player, whether you're a softball player, whether you're a boy or a girl, um, when they're young, they're just kind of bought into it and they're just having a good time. And then they really start, it's like 12, 13 years old, they start recognizing, okay, do I really want to excel in this sport? Do I want to be competitive in this sport? And so there's a lot of pressure that starts to get put on you. And obviously your body's changing at that age and your brain's changing. Um, I see it all the time. I think a lot of my training is, you're teaching the fundamentals from when they're 7 to 22, but it just gets a little bit, the only thing that gets more complex is kind of the way you approach it, because there's a lot more that adds on the older you get mentally. So I find myself, doing the same drills I did when I was 10 years old, but just mentally looking at it a lot differently. So I think that's my favorite part about coaching, is figuring out, how do I speak to this age group? How do I speak to this age group, and what's different in their life versus a 10-year-old's life?
That makes sense. You said your brothers play baseball?
Mhm.
Okay. I'll ask you a question. We'll try not to go down a big rabbit hole, but maybe we will. What do you think? I mean, your family, your parents were baseball fans growing up.
Mhm.
When you see, MLB athletes, anyone that goes to the top level, do you think they want it, or do you think their parents want it? Like, do you think it's just pushed on them, or do you think it's something they like? I mean, do you think about that kind of thing?
100%. I think, me, I had the privilege to play with two Olympians on my collegiate level team. And the reason why they became Olympians was single-handedly because I have never seen a person love the game of softball so much in my
Yep.
entire life. They got themselves there. And I also have the um, privilege of meeting a lot of other professional athletes throughout my career. In fact, my fiance is a professional skier out here, and he loves skiing, dreams about it, thinks about it all the time. And that's what you got to do if you're playing at that level, especially at the MLB level. It's if you don't love what you're doing on a daily basis, then that's not going to be something you're going to continue to do on a daily basis at a really, really elite level. You can't be doing it for any other reason besides the fact that you love the game and you want to keep playing it.
Yeah, because I mean, some people are freaks, like men and women, with the amount they'll train and the
Mm-hmm.
desire to get better. And if you
Mm-hmm.
don't have something that's really compelling you to do it.
Well, you got to be a little crazy.
Yeah.
You got to be a little off, and that's where the mental comes into play. It's I think those people at that really high level, I don't think most people truly understand the amount of time and energy and effort they put into mastering their craft, and that is why they are at the level that they're at. Being an MLB player is close to impossible, statistically
Yeah.
speaking. So you have to be absolutely doing whatever it takes to master your craft to be
Yeah.
at that level.
And because I just play in the rec league out here, I I probably enjoy playing the most right now. I just don't put pressure on myself, and I realize the amount that I practice, which is essentially none. And
Hmm.
it's like, I gotta accept it at that level and enjoy it, and we just have fun.
Hmm.
We're competitive, but it's
Yeah, I know it's funny because most people think like, oh, you must do like slow pitch or you must play on like a women's team out here or something. And I was, as soon as I retired and I took my cleats off, I said I put a lot of time and effort and energy into getting to the level that I got to. This did hit a point where it wasn't for fun anymore for me. It became a job.
yeah,
And that's why I felt confident enough to turn the lab into my business, was because I had been looking at the sport as a job for quite some time now. And you see a lot of professional athletes, they won't go back into the career and do something else in that career because they just wanted to play. They were an athlete through and through. And I kind of saw myself as hey, this is something that I wanted to continue to do for my career growing up, coaching and running a business. And that, there, if I personally think if I was as good as, Ichiro or these big names growing up, I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. I would
yeah.
probably try to continue to play for as long as I could. So,
How was it living on that, doing because you were doing that full time when you were playing? Was it a manageable salary? Was it because I just hear horror stories about minor leagues and anything that's not like the MLB.
No, it wasn't. I mean, I'm a female athlete too, and I
Yeah.
think female athletes unfortunately get the short end of the stick most times. You're seeing some change going on for sure. I think it's really, really cool to see the change in collegiate athletes and professional athletes. They're starting to get a lot of NIL deals, and that's been helping them a lot more. But for me personally, when I decided to go play for the women's national team and qualify for the Olympics, I had two sponsors at the time, two or three sponsors at the time. Most of them being gear sponsors, and then one of them being a foundation that wanted to give me the funding that it took to train. So they gave me a stipend for me to be able to do high level training multiple times a week and not go get a job. Um, it's pretty cutthroat at that level, though. If you're not performing at the best that they want you to, then they're just gonna take away sponsorships, understandably so. So it was pretty tough to get through. The irony is that I started working at a ski resort
Okay.
because I needed time in the summer. And so I was like, where can I work where I can do my summer gig for 3 months and go be in Europe for 3 months and train, but I can also have a job on top of it. And so I was like, I'm going to work at a ski resort. And I did not understand that doing that was going to lead me to meeting my now fiance. And I did not realize that that was going to lead me to completely falling in love with snowboarding and rock climbing and outdoor sports, and then move me out to Bozeman, Montana.
Yep.
I had no idea that that was in store for me. But I found that pretty funny that the reason why I got into that realm was because I was trying to continue to play softball overseas.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, that makes sense if he's a professional skier and you're in Montana, he's at Big Sky all the time, I'd imagine, or Bridger?
Yeah,
Okay.
Bridger. Yeah, he does a lot of backcountry stuff, and he really took me under his wing. And this was a perfect example of like, no, you got to be a master at your craft. Um, I kind of have this mindset about me where I'm like, how hard could it be? How difficult could this be? And when I stopped playing softball all the time, I started skiing, or I started snowboarding, and I started rock climbing. And in my head, I was like, you know what? Maybe I could go really high in this sport, like really high level in this sport. How hard could it be? And then I tried keeping up with my professional skier fiance and quickly learned this is really hard and this is really scary. So yeah, it was one of those moments where it was a reality check for me, where it's like, you have that mindset because you've spent 23 years of your life perfecting a sport. And so you think you're a really high level athlete, which you are, just not in the new sports you're doing. And so for me, it was kind of this reality check of, oh my gosh, I suck at something again.
Yeah.
So that was fun for me to figure out. I am, safe to say now I can keep up with him just fine and can work my butt off with that. But it was pretty funny having that reality check of, oh no, you're a softball player.
Yeah, for sure.
You're not a snowboarder.
How far did your brothers go playing?
They played until they were about 14 years old.
Okay.
I want to say 13 or 14. Both of them made it to teen years, I want to say.
And you just kept going because you loved it and you
Yeah.
wanted to keep playing?
Yeah. I kind of just recognized that I was good at it and I wanted to keep doing it. I really, really loved to play it. And I loved the challenge behind it. I was also a soccer player. I was also a volleyball player. I'm a big multi-sport athlete. But softball was the one mentally where I felt like it challenged me the most, and it forced me to really dig deep and be mentally tough. I didn't really get that. I didn't get that vibe in most other court sports growing up. But specifically in softball, that's what I loved about it, was how mentally challenging the sport is.
Yeah, I know people always will rag on people that don't like it. They say, "Oh, baseball, softball's for smart people," but it's such a mental game. And if you have that mind that's so interested in human psychology, that's where I find a lot of the interest in it.
Well, I go and I watch a softball game now and my brain's going a million miles an hour because there's so many things that are popping up and so many things that I'm thinking about where it's, next play. Oh, this person's swinging like this person's throwing like this. And it's just, it keeps my brain so occupied. I love watching it. I love playing it. It was awesome. It was perfect for me.
Yeah, and I could see why, outwardly it can look boring just because of the pace of it, but yeah, if you're playing or if you're engaged, it's such a mental sport.
Right. If you understand, I think it's, because I felt this way about football for the longest time where I just did not make sense to me. I did not understand it, but football is really fun to watch when you understand the rules and when you understand what's going on. The tricky thing about baseball and softball is there's so many rules and there's so many scenarios and situations. And I think that's why fanatics really love baseball and softball, is because it's a lot to keep up with. One of my brother's favorite things to do after he stopped playing baseball, but he's a huge stats guy. And that was his favorite thing to look over, was just the stats and how things are working and how things are going. And what is this person's ERA at? And what is this person's batting average at? It can be a numbers game if you want it to be, but for some people it can just be it's a situational thing, or it's a mental IQ thing as well in different ways.
I'm obsessed with numbers too. And last night, I'm a Mets fan. Juan Soto has the most walks in the MLB. Pete Alonso has the second most RBIs. And last night I'm going, wonder how many of Pete's RBIs are Juan Soto. And I'm just, thinking, depending on how you stack your lineup,
right?
If he's going to walk this much, Pete's going to have this many. And it's so, for me, that's so much fun.
Yeah. Well, have you seen the movie Moneyball?
Yeah.
Yeah, with Brad Pitt.
Yep.
Yeah, he completely turned around an organization by reading the numbers, right?
Yeah.
And you see that in business too. You see, you have to do the same thing in business where you print a report and you're just like, hey, this is what the numbers are telling me. Like, what's going on here? Like, how do we create a story behind what these numbers are telling us? And I think baseball is just like that. Like you're saying, it's, he's got this many walks. It's why does Juan Soto have that many walks, or this many RBIs? How many of those are connected to the other player in the lineup? So yeah, that's my favorite part. I'm not a big numbers gal, I'm not going to lie, but I love looking at the numbers and the stats and then trying to find that the answers after you have the numbers in front of your face. That's my favorite part.
Yeah, and that's where my love for business comes into, is the numbers. But then, with that Juan Soto example, then I'll go back to the psychology and say, why does he walk so much? How does his vision work? Is it just his vision, or does he have some sort of patience?
I mean, could it also be they don't want to throw to him?
Yeah.
Because
that's going to play into something too.
It's like, how do you make sure a great hitter doesn't hit? It's you don't throw them pitches they can hit, So if Juan Soto's not going to swing at him, then that's probably why he's getting walked so much, is because he's got a good eye and he knows what pitches he wants to hit, and you're not throwing him.
Yeah.
So
it's so interesting to me.
There's so much.
You said Mariners. Who were some of your your favorite players, or players you looked up to growing up?
Ichiro, for sure. Yeah. I mean, because I was a righty and then I got moved to the left side, and slapping is a big thing in softball. It's not that much of a big thing in baseball, but if there had to have been an OG slapper in baseball, it would be Ichiro. And so I remember when I got turned over, I wasn't a fan of it at first, but my family told me, hey, like you're like Ichiro now. And I was like, yeah, okay, perfect. I like that. So I also loved watching Ken Griffey
Okay.
as well growing up for sure.
Yeah, if you look at the way Ichiro would hit, it very much looks like a softball swing in a
Mm-hmm.
lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Makes sense.
It's a Japanese style kind of
Mhm.
hitting. They have such a different mindset perspective with hitting, and they're one of the best in the world to ever do it. So I love picking, like, I mean, the cool thing about me going to play international ball is the game doesn't really change. Like it's, the game is the same no matter where you go, but the way people play it is significantly different. When I went and played against Team Japan, the way they played was astonishing to me. It was beautiful. And then, I also played Team Australia, and they played a completely different way. And Team Chinese Taipei, they played a different way. And then if you go down into Latin America as well, like they play softball significantly differently. The way that Shohei Ohtani swings is not the same way that Giancarlo swings. It's significantly different, and it could be based off their body type. It could be based off their culture. I think it's the coolest thing is just kind of figuring out why do you have such an individual swing that way? Why do you swing like that? You go to multiple different countries and it's the same game, but they're just teaching it differently in multiple different ways. So
Yeah, that must be so interesting to see it all. And then
mhm.
we've got, like all the, at least because I follow baseball, but all the baseball in the US we're a mixing pot of the entire world.
Of everybody, yeah.
Yeah.
So, because MLB, you could cross MLB. It's there's a lot of people from a lot of different countries playing ball.
Yeah.
So,
If they're
and I
good
think it's
enough,
really
like
cool.
someone will try to get them here
Yeah, and that's what I'm
and
saying.
pay them
That's
well.
what I'm saying. You got to think about like how hard it would be to play at that level when you're not going up against every other kid in the country. You're going up against every other kid in the world to play at the MLB level. So you literally have to be the best to play at the MLB level. So,
My my sisters in-laws are from Seattle. We were at a spring training in Arizona. I don't know, this was 6 or 7 years ago. My mother's a huge baseball fan, and she'll go to spring training a lot, and my
mhm.
sister Katie caught a Ichiro foul ball. She was so pumped.
That's
It's like
so
her favorite
awesome.
moment.
That is so cool. I think my brother said that he still has it, but he's got an Ichiro rookie baseball card.
And if I find it somewhere, I've got a Ken Griffey autograph, John
Awesome.
Olerud,
Yeah.
because he was on the Mariners for a while, right?
Mhm.
Then I
Mhm.
know he played with the Mets ultimately.
Yeah.
I think when I saw Griffey, he was on the Reds playing the Mets when I was a kid. Yeah, but yeah, it's fun.
I love.
Who's your favorite current player?
Oh geez, my favorite current baseball player. I don't know. I mean, if we're gonna go Mariners route, Big Dumper's doing pretty good. Or I don't. I think he's. I don't. There's something about him that is curious to me. It's he is mentally just so strong. I think that's how he's able to put up the numbers that he is that he's a perfect example of somebody that just loves to play
Yeah,
and plays the game super, super well. Other players that kind of remind me of that as well. Cody Bellinger is a big one like that. He just plays the game. Um, and then there's people that are a little bit more methodical about it. I like Christian Yelich. I think Christian Yelich is a cool player. Um, and yeah,
he's still with the Brewers.
I think so.
Yeah,
I want to say he's still with the Brewers, but
I
yeah.
know we saw him actually when we were at that spring training. He was like he's always been good, but he's a machine.
Hmm.
He's such a good hitter.
Yeah, and it's he's different. Like he's good at what he does in a significantly different way than I don't than Bellinger probably trains. They probably train so differently. It seems like Christian Yelich is very like methodical and has a whole thing. Or who's somebody that Paul Skeens? Paul Skeens warm up takes like 6 hours or something like that because he is going through every single perfect little thing that he does, and he feels like he has to do that in order to pitch at his best. I've never been that kind of player. I'm the kind of player that like rolls out of bed and just like hops on the field and I'm just like, "What's up? How's it going?" But I have so much respect for the players that put like that all that time and they're like, "I have to do all these little things before every single game." It's I think it's so cool when you run into a player like that.
Those kind of players hate players like you, 'cause
Yep.
especially if you're good, because
Yes.
then it's
Yes.
even more frustrating.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think as an athlete, the kind of athlete that I am is that I am one of those athletes that just has the talent to be very, very physically talented, but mentally, that's where I struggle as an athlete. It's, having the discipline to continue to do it over and over and over again. And you see that all the time. I see it with younger kids that I coach now these days too. Their parents are kind of like, hey, she's 13, but she wants to play every single sport still. Like, should she be focusing on just softball if she wants to get better at softball? Should she be doing this? Should she be doing that? And I said, no, she's an athlete. She's an athlete through and through. And I think the cool thing about baseball is you don't have to be very athletic to play the sport.
Yeah.
You can be extremely unathletic and still be really good at the sport. Hunter Pence for the Giants, most unathletic MLB athlete I've ever seen, or Bartolo Colon, extremely
Bartolo
unathletic,
Colon,
right?
that's
Like
true.
extremely unathletic, but they are a master at their craft because they're mentally so strong, And I think I have a quote that's at the lab right now. It says, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And I love that quote because I personally think I'm a really talented person, but my hard work sometimes, like, I need to work on that. And the kids that are methodically thinking it through and are taking the time to master their craft, they will beat out the kids that are just there because they're athletic.
Yeah. Yeah, so, like, a lot of it's just, depends on if you won the genetic lottery and you're, for whatever reasons
Hmm.
but then the hard work is where it really.
Yeah. And that's what it was a reality check for me when I got to the collegiate level, because I got to the collegiate level single-handedly because of my athletic abilities and my talent. It wasn't because of my mental abilities to hop into the IQ and anything. It was, hey, you are physically strong enough to be here as a D1 athlete. But that kicked me in the butt as soon as I showed up at school. It was, I was being stupid on the base path. I was being arrogant. I was thinking I was better than I was. And they were like, nope, hey, welcome to the big leagues. We're here because we're working hard. It doesn't matter how talented you are. We're all just as talented as you. Because when you go and you get recruited, you are getting put with, like, you are one of the better athletes in your pool of players that you grew up with, and one of the best kids in the state. Now you're going to go play with all the other better athletes out of their pool, and they're the best kids in the state. And so, when you get to that elite level, you got to think, like, what stands out, and it's the mental part. Can you continue to show up every day and clutch up when I need you to clutch up? Can you push through that pressure when you need to push through that pressure? Like, that's what's going to put you above at the higher level, because everybody's just as athletic as you at the higher level.
Yeah, when I think back, I think of Pete Alonso when you say, like, athleticism and what shape they're in. I know he said years ago that his trainers or whoever, they were getting on his case about his weight because 'cause he's got, like, a little bit of a gut,
Hmm.
and he lost, like, 20 pounds or so, and his hitting was suffering terribly, and he's
Hmm.
like, "I put the weight back on, and I feel so much better,"
Hmm.
and it's not about being,
Hmm.
shredded, but it's a mix of both because I don't know if that bled into his psychological game, but
Hmm.
he's not a he doesn't look like he's built like a bodybuilder by any means.
No,
A lot
yeah.
a lot of pitchers, like, most of the pitchers are usually,
Hmm.
like, skin and bones, where they just have a little beer gut in their skin and bones.
Yeah, you don't really see, like, I don't know. I think that obviously people are fit and in shape, and lots of, lower body was focused for softball, and then baseball, same thing, and a lot of core strength. It's a rotational sport. But yeah, you don't see a whole lot of, like, it's not one of those sports where you have to be physically insanely built to play it. Now that I'm a rock climber, I can go ahead and say for everybody that if you are out of shape, you are not going to have fun rock climbing.
Yeah.
It's not one of those sports. Gymnastics is also one of those sports. Swimming is one of those sports. Running is one of those sports. It is not one of those sports. It's a very mentally strong sport. So yeah, you can afford to have a little bit of to be a little bit of out of shape, because you have to make up for what you don't have in the physical ability, you have to make up for in that mental ability as well.
And like, since moving here, I got, pretty into martial arts and Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Hmm.
It's such an interesting sport because it's so much of it is technique, and then if you happen to be athletic and strong, you're still gonna have those advantages, but, like, the good technique really can't be, like, there's
Hmm.
limits to that because there's just size discrepancies at some point, but, like, the technique that you polish is what will really be the difference maker.
Right? I mean, a lot of people look at me and I'm pretty small in stature, and they're like, there's no way this chick can blast one over the fence. But me having to spend as much time as I did having to learn how to properly swing, and, I've mastered it. And so, yes, I know how to hit a ball over the fence. Doesn't matter what size I am. And that's, that just goes to obviously there are players that effortlessly will hit that ball out of the park way easier than me, but you know what? I can run faster than them probably. And that's the beauty of the sport, is that you can be whatever size, whatever shape you want. It's a, like you just said about that sport, it's a skill set you're learning. It's a
Yeah.
craft. Like a craft that you're mastering. It doesn't, you can have the physical, like you might not have the physical ability to be at your best, but you can still master a craft that way.
Yeah.
So,
And then my little sister Becky, she's a freak. She's built like me. I remember her playing high school softball. She's playing center field. She picks up a line drive on one hop and just throws a dime to first base and
mhm,
throws a girl out by like 3 feet. And everyone's looking like no one even thought.
you
And,
could do
and
that.
and yeah, and like no one even her and the first baseman were on the same page. But she's like her arm. I don't know. She could just throw a baseball. Like
Hmm.
she's just I don't know why she can just throw like that. Like and I have similar with the arm, but it's just like I don't know if I was born with it, but I also obsessively wanted to like have someone catch with me.
Hmm.
My mother would she's left-handed and she'd have a glove on and a bat and she just, soft toss and hit me ground balls
Oh,
till she was exhausted and I just
yeah.
beg really do it again like every day.
Yeah.
But it was like just obsessed.
I know it cracks me up. There's baseball kiddos that come in. So the quote that people that I've been hearing the baseball boys and the girls say is, "Hey mom, did you schedule lab time this week?"
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, like, oh, she asked me to do lab time this week, and so now we're here, and this is the fourth time she's been in this week. Like, I feel like she should take a break, and but she keeps asking, she won't stop." And I hear the same thing from the baseball boys all the time too. Part of me, it's like, breaks are important. They're kids, but if they're asking for the lab time, if they're asking to go in and train, that is exactly why I built the lab. That's exactly why I built the monthly passes and whatnot, is for that right there. I mean, the more effort you put into your sport or the more time you take to put into your sport, you're inevitably going to get better at it.
Yeah, I remember I feel like this was my first time I really felt real embarrassment as a kid. I'd I'd shoveled a diamond in the snow, and then I'm just at home plate doing my histonomics and my walk up and my swing, and then I'm getting ready to do my home run trot and, like, look out, and there's, like, both my sisters and my mother just with the front row seat
Yeah.
in the window, like, 5 feet away, and I'm just, like,
You're like,
beet
"Oh."
red, like, but yeah, I was,
That's
like, year
awesome.
round, I'd be shoveling snow to just so
Yeah.
I could play baseball.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. I mean, like, going back to what we were saying earlier, a lot of people are like, "Oh, baseball's never gonna be that big out here." And it's like, "Hey, you give them again, baseball quote, if you build it, they will come."
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I thought about the lab. And I've seen plenty of awesome things be happening. The club team, the MSU club team, they came in here and they practiced at the lab twice a week and coincidentally made it to state, or made it to I think it was regionals potentially, for the first time in years. And in my opinion, that's no coincidence. You consistently train multiple times a year, that's what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, it
So,
makes complete sense.
mhm.
I said, when we were playing a few weeks, I'm like, "Man, why doesn't MSU just build a dome out here?" I'm like, "They've got money, what are they waiting for?"
Mhm.
I don't know if the pull is strong enough.
I don't know about, yeah, because they have domes. That's the funny thing, is
Yeah,
they have domes, and it probably could be multi-use. I am intrigued to see what they do with that, because I know the boys do train in there. I
yeah,
think it's because maybe it's because it's a club sport and football's clearly the bigger sport.
yeah.
It could be something along the lines of that. But yeah, I am kind of shocked because, I mean, like, University of North Dakota, University of South Dakota tried recruiting me, and they tried getting me in on like the big dome and stuff, and because they've got one. So
Okay.
I am intrigued to see if Montana State will look more into something for baseball and softball here in the future. So,
Yeah, I mean, as the it's such a, mixed pot of, people that are Montanans and people from the East and the West Coast, so I think that desire for baseball and softball will grow as the
mhm.
population diversifies more.
Inevitably
Yeah,
diversifies. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I mean, there's so many people coming from all over, and that's the first thing they ask. It's like, "Y'all don't play baseball out here?"
yeah,
It's like, "Well, we do. We do. It's just not what you think. Probably not what you're used to." And it's getting there though. It's getting big for sure. Gallatin High School just had their first state appearance, so that was pretty cool. For the Gallatin softball team would come in and train at the facility every once in a while, and it's the buy-in. The buy-in is just really cool to see over the years that I've been here training and coaching and doing what I'm doing. There are some teams that will continue on to buy in, but I've got certain personal players that have worked through such tough obstacles and have still came out with the D1 scholarship at the end of it. And that's my biggest reward that I can help give to them. It's help them kind of see their dream through.
Yeah, for sure. I wonder do you know the population in North Dakota or South Dakota where those schools are? I'm just curious if it's a population issue.
I don't think it. I don't know,
Yeah.
honestly. I think it's maybe the alumni potentially.
Yeah.
Like I think it's because I think that happens. If you've got a strong community in your sport and people really care about what it is, they'll find a way to make it happen. And I think just North Dakota and South Dakota, I think I went to like Sioux Falls. I don't know how to say it.
Sioux Falls.
Sioux Falls, and I did a camp out there, and it's just the amount of people that community has gotten and invested into the sport is pretty amazing. I do got to give a shout out to the Belgrade softball community as well. That is something that I think about all the time. Me being based here in Bozeman, and then if you drive 15 minutes down the street to Belgrade, their softball program compared to Bozeman's softball program is significantly different. Bozeman couldn't even field a varsity high school team for Bozeman High School this year because of the lack of development that's here in Bozeman. But if you go over to Belgrade, they've got like hundreds of girls under the age of 12 ready to play softball.
Yeah, and even the field we play on in Belgrade, it's a beautiful baseball field.
Mm-hmm.
I always like the one at the fairgrounds. We barely play on it anymore,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a nice field too.
Yeah. It's when you have a community and a structure built and a culture built around, hey, we're known for this and this is what we're going to be good at. It's crazy how much more people will buy into that with you. I think that's what I'm trying to do here in Bozeman personally for my softball likings and my softball background. But ultimately, I think me being the owner of the lab, I take care of baseball players, I take care of softball players, I take care of slow pitch players, I take care of men's league players. I have this, when I first opened the business, I really wanted to make everything about softball.
Yeah.
But I quickly learned that that's not what this community needed. This community needed a lot more other things. I think the facility doubles as so many different things that you can do. It's my community that comes into the facility is if you want to swing a bat, you can come in and swing a bat. There is no, I am all for somebody who's never picked up a bat before and coming into my batting cages and trying it out, because that's what I've learned. It's like, hey, we can do the high level stuff. We can do the elite training stuff. But if you don't have a community invested in it, then the elite training is not going to make a whole lot of sense,
Yeah.
So
do you have, we should probably get back to your business too, since we were going all over the place. Do people come in just pitchers and catchers and people to drill stuff other than hitting in the cages often?
I think, you kind of see it all. You see people coming in for date night. You see people coming in for a birthday party. You see people coming in to be training, to be going and playing on a collegiate team. You see people coming from out of town hey, I needed to make sure I was still training. Can I come in for a session? I got a phone call one time because this woman got broken up with and cheated on, and she just needed to break something.
Oh, interesting.
Or she just needed to hit something. And that's how she answered. She's just like, are you guys open to the public? And I said, yes. And she said, I really just need to come in and hit something. And I was like, say less, girl. Come on in. Let me get you a cage.
You think she'd call a boxing gym or something, but whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, if baseball's your angle.
Yeah, no, it kind of made me think dang, should I put a rage room in here or something with the baseball bats? That'd be so funny.
Yeah, because funny, my sister Katie had, reached out to me just not long after I went and, I just went and hit with the team down there. She said, hey, have you been to the 406 lab? She was at a birthday party. She's got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Oh, fun.
Do people use that a lot for parties for kids and stuff like that?
Yes. Yeah. The funny thing is, we installed black light to do black light baseball in there, glow in the dark baseball. And it's
kind of wild.
It's pretty wild. We did it because there was a semi-professional team out in Portland that does it with a whole stadium. And my the parents that came in, they're like, oh, you should look into it. You should look into it. And then we tried it out and it was a super fun time. It's also just a really big space. It's a 4,800 square foot facility and all the cages can pull back. We can open up the garage and we can have stuffed booths going on at the outside and a barbecue, and we've got a fire pit, and then you can walk into the cages and then you can use them as batting cages. We've had some people set up, I had somebody request to me that they want a bouncy house to be put in there. They wanted an obstacle course. We've set up dodgeball, kickball, really kind of, it's like a kid's playground essentially. And if somebody wants to come in and host a party and just utilize the space, we are more than willing to, even if it's not batting cages, even if it's not baseball, softball, it's a big space at the end of the day that we would love to share with the community.
So you'll rent out the entire space if somebody wants to rent it. And do you do many like company parties or corporate retreats?
We do. Yeah, we do. One of our biggest sponsors is Wrestler Motors, and Wrestler Chevy. The Chevy team specifically is really, really baseball oriented. And
Cool.
so he had his entire team come out, and there were people that have never swung a bat before in there swinging a bat. And he came up to me afterwards and he told me, I've never had my entire staff single file come up to me and say, like, that was the best work party ever. Can we do that again sometime? He said, I've never ran a work party and had every single one of them come up to me afterwards and ask if we're going to do that again. So we've had a couple. We also held a corporate party for Montana Whitewater.
Oh, nice.
And that's just a bunch of zipline guides and raft guides. Never have swung a bat, most likely. I think the reason why we did it though is because the manager, he did have some baseball background and he wanted to hit the ball. But the rest of them never have swung a bat, had the best time ever. So we love corporate retreats and corporate parties.
Yeah, Melanie from Montana Whitewater came and did the podcast.
Oh,
She
yeah.
just talked about everything they do, and I think she's like an operations director or something. But
Oh,
she
nice.
very well may have been there for that too.
I wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, it was a whole crew of them. So that's hilarious. It's so fun. The kids' parties, the birthday parties are super fun, but when we can have like a work party in there afterwards, it's such a good time. So
great team building, I'd imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Just be in that environment versus a work environment, depending on what you guys do.
Yeah, no, and it's funny because the community is pretty strong out here, especially the ski community. So another person that we hosted his birthday party was the owner of Big Sky Mountain Products.
Okay.
And he came in and he's like, well, how many people can I fit in this place? And I said, I mean, I don't know, probably like 250, 300 people probably. And I did not think he was going to find that many people, but he said, okay, I think about 270 people are coming to this thing tonight. And I swear it was the entire, and if you had a Bridger Bowl ski pass, you were at the lab that night. Like it was a huge community of people. And again, never have swung a bat in their entire life, had the best time ever. So
can you collapse any of the cages, or are they permanent where the way they're hung up?
no, you can hang. So
are they on a cable?
They're on cables. And so there's 4 cages, 4 60-foot cages across, right? You can pull back the divider nets and then you can just have this giant square cage, if that makes sense.
So if a team wanted to rent the whole thing and, like how wide is it that way if they were?
It is, what is it? 60 by 80 feet, I want to say.
So if they wanted to at least go to 80 feet to throw or anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they totally could. So we have a front area and we obviously have to make sure that rules are being followed and people aren't throwing outside the cage. But that is the pretty cool thing is you can pull back all the cages and it doesn't have to be just baseball cages. It can be, that's how we're able to make it, have these birthday parties and work events is people come in and they don't want to do baseball cages at all. They want to use the space for dodgeball. And that's perfectly fine with us. We can pull back the cages and make that happen.
What's the craziest thing you've had happen in there or seen happen?
Oh gosh. I have seen a lot of stuff. I got to give a shout out to moms of boys that the boy, like you were saying this about your mom.
I thought this was an organization.
Like
Moms of Boys.
No, moms of boys. No, it is.
Just
it probably is somewhere. I love it when I see a boy or a softball player, softball player. And it's the scariest thing. If you've never thrown front toss, if you've never been in a batting cage and you don't know how it works from a training perspective, it's scary. It's terrifying because a ball's being hit at you.
Yeah.
I have seen a lot of moms hop into the batting cage and they don't know the first thing about throwing a ball at their kid, but they're just like, how hard could this be? And they stand behind that net. Unfortunately, I have seen one of the parents figure out how hard it really could be, and it didn't end up very well. So I probably would say that's probably the craziest thing that's happened. But she was such a good sport about it, and she's like, that was totally my fault. I didn't get behind the cage. Like that was one of your rules, and that was my fault. She had a big old goose egg on her head and everything, but she was, I don't know, she was totally mom. The moms that have the boys in the sport and everything, and that just say like, hey, I'll do what I got to do. Like your mom hitting you grounders and
Yeah.
stuff. My mom even went and caught a bullpen for me one time. Like that's probably my favorite thing to watch is a mom hop into the cage and be like, how hard could this be? Like if you can do it, I can do it. So,
Yeah, my mom's a badass, not to go on a rant about her, but we grew up on a farm. I was on a tractor, she was mowing a field of hay and she got off the tractor to like clean out the mower. And I was probably like 12. I kicked the PTO that turns the mower on. So it could have killed her.
oh my,
I turned the blade on and it like sliced her pinky finger to where there was like, it was barely hanging on. So she drives herself, to the ER, has it sewed up. She coached my baseball team.
oh my
She was
gosh.
still hitting me the ground balls, and she had an infielder's glove, so her pinky would stick out. It's wrapped up, and she's still
Your
hitting me.
mom sounds so cool.
Yeah, she is. But like, it was just yeah, and she continued to coach our team and do all
Mhm.
the other stuff. But
Yeah, that's so. I love that, and it could just be like the female energy that happens with that, where it's just like a mom is just like, okay, I got to do what I got to do,
yeah,
and it's just so freaking fun to see it. So that's probably my favorite. My favorite. I don't know. I am very very happy to say we have not had a single incident
good.
where
Yeah,
somebody was like, I'm never coming back here again. This was terrifying. We have not had a single incident like that. We're a very safe facility. So I have seen some crazy stuff, but not too crazy.
and overall, what's your favorite part about owning the business and having it?
I love being my own boss. I think it's a lot of work and it's a lot of effort, but it's all worth it at the end of it. I mainly started this whole thing so I could be a badass mom, so I could go do what I wanted to do on the weekdays and then, come back and open up the facility 3 to 9 p.m. I think that's my favorite part is the flexibility that it gives me to be my own boss and the joy it gives all the other players to be able to use the space. I think obviously I've got a huge heart for my softball girls and my softball community, and I'm very involved in them, but nothing makes me happier than when a baseball boy that doesn't even know who I am comes in and they're like, "Hey Aubrey, how's it going?" or like, "Have a great day, Aubrey." Like they're just so thankful that they get to be a part of something I've built from the ground up. So it's really rewarding. It's really rewarding in so many different ways.
What's the hardest part about having it?
Um,
Other than like I could just being a business owner, it's a lot.
I think the hardest part is that my target audience is parents.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. God
I
bless
think
you.
that, yeah, I think that is I don't know, you're working, if your parents are rightfully so very defensive with their child. I think, it's their literal job is to be protective of their kids. And so, that probably is the toughest thing is, sometimes things don't go kids' way. Sometimes kids have to get benched. Sometimes kids have to wait their turn in line. Sometimes, they don't get what they want or they didn't make the team or whatever. And I think that's probably the hardest part for me. It's not the kids. It's never
Yeah.
the kids. It's always the parents because the parents are very protective of the kids. And I take my role, my job very seriously as a coach because I firmly believe that it takes a village to raise a kid. And I'm not just a business owner in that way. I think I'm building an environment for their kids to consistently be in. And so if that environment isn't up to their expectations, then I'm going to hear about it. And so that's one thing that I try to take very seriously with my staff, with myself, with the way we carry out the lab is that we're friendly and we are here to support the community. And if we, I think there are multiple times where parents have wanted me to go in one direction with the business and they wanted me to go in a different direction. I've had to say, nope, I'm going to stay the course. This is what I'm going to do. And they were like, well, that's not in the best interest of my kid. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry to hear that, but this is what I have to do for the majority of everybody else. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's never the kids, it's the parents.
I don't have kids, but my favorite quote is having a kid is like watching your heart walk around outside of you.
Mhm.
And I like that at least resonates with me to the extent of why people are because I hear it all the time with childcare that everyone's like people are crazy with kids and they're as crazy as anyone would be that has a kid
Mhm.
because
It's a kid.
it's your
It's your
world.
child. It's your
Yeah.
whole world. Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I think that's something I have to talk about with my coaches and my staff all the time because they're younger and they don't understand it. Like I said, that's my background. I did childcare for 8 years, 8 or 9 years, and I was a mother's helper, I was a nanny, I worked at daycares, I worked at a Montessori school. Um, my biggest my biggest passion is youth development. And so sometimes, I have to remind my baseball coaches that are coming in and, it's like their third lesson of the day and they're not giving a full 100% to that kid that they have for 45 minutes and they will hear about it because in my opinion that is doing a disservice to that child when you don't show up wanting to be around that child. I take anybody that works with children, like in my opinion that's probably one of the most important jobs in the world, and that doesn't really, I don't think the world sees it that way
yeah,
sometimes.
it doesn't compensate accordingly to the importance.
No, it doesn't. And I think that's another beautiful thing about my job. It's, I get to be the business role. I get to be in the business realm and be responsible for a lot of things. But at the same time, that's my business, is making sure that these kids are having a good time when they come into the facility because it is predominantly kids. Obviously, we love having corporate parties and we love having, old adult events and whatnot. But at the same time, 80% of the time it's kids coming through my facility, or that other 80% of the time it's a birthday party being held. So it's like my job, my business will be successful if I make it about the kids always.
Yeah, for sure. I
Hmm.
was laughing at your old adult events.
Yeah, I know. Adult events,
You
21 plus, I don't know.
you probably already answered it but I'll let you answer it again when you said, yeah, you really need to love it. But if you're going to give any advice to any, kids, boy or girl that really wants to pursue softball or baseball, what advice would you give them as a former professional and as a coach?
Oh man, that's a loaded question. When a kid comes up to me and they say, hey, this is what I want to go do, how do I get to that point? I'm going to tell them how they get to that point because I'm going to tell them exactly how I did it. And I'm going to, I have the resources to be able to show them. But I think my favorite thing that I love to tell kids is just to keep it simple. Because like we talked about earlier, it's the fundamentals are the same, whether you're seven or 22 years old, like it's the same. It gets a little bit more complex the older you get, but the fundamentals are never the same. If you're dropping your shoulder, it's because of this, and that's never going to change. It could be like you're super tense and you're super tight, but it always is it is as simple as that. Is you dropped your shoulder, get your shoulder back up, or whatever it is, right? Or hey, you came up out of your legs, stay in your legs. It is that simple. Um, I think baseball, softball, it's really easy to spin it to be really, really complex and really difficult. But at the end of the day, if you, I think Albert Einstein said it, if you can't explain it simply, then you don't understand it. So that is one thing I take very seriously as somebody who has spent a lot of time in this realm. Is I'm going to try and explain this and coach this as simply as I possibly can to this child that wants to go play at the elite level with it, is because if I can get them to mentally understand how easy it is to make that switch and make that adjustment, they're going to be set up pretty well to be a high level athlete.
Very cool.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to come check out the lab, oh, I'm going to ask you this question first. Where's the name come from?
The Lab
Yeah,
406. Oh, geez, just from me saying like, oh, I'm in the lab. I'm in the lab.
the
Like,
lab. Yeah, I got you.
yeah, I think that was just like a slang term, or
Mhm.
I was like, man, like what's like, a more chill way to say batting cages. And I
Yeah.
would always, when I was growing up, oh, I'm in the lab. I'm experimenting in the lab. So that's where it came from.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, whatever their craft is, that's what they'll refer it to as the
Yeah,
lab.
I'm in the lab,
Yeah.
studying, I'm experimenting. So,
Okay.
yeah.
If anyone wants to come check it out, find out more information, where's the best place to find you?
The lab406.com is our website. You can find us on Instagram at the lab406. And yeah, I think our email is the lab406 or info at the lab406.com.
Okay. Anything anyone can do to help out? Are you looking for, any employees or anything specific for it, or just for the softball, baseball industry?
I think we're doing amazing. If everybody could just keep showing up, that would be awesome. We have an event coming up.
Okay, I meant to ask that, so I'm glad you said something.
Yeah, it's on the 26th of September.
Okay.
We're really excited about it. We're collaborating with Yellow House Barbecue and the Dead Yellers. They're going to come play live out at the lab, and then the event's going to be hosted by the MSU club baseball team, and we're going to have booths and everything. And yeah, you can hit in the batting cages. We'll have a bunch of other fun games you can do. There's an entry fee to it, and it's the 2-out rally bash. So
Okay.
if you hear anything about that, please come.
Okay.
It's going to be a hoot.
You said September 26th.
Mhm.
Cool. I'll get this out fast so that we can spread the word about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
That'd be great.
Well, thanks for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I love what you're doing because I love baseball, and it's cool that it's happening in Montana.
Yeah, it's growing. So I'm really stoked about it.
Cool. Thanks, Aubrey.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Thanks for listening, folks. You can find the full blog post for every episode, along with key takeaways and links at mountain-mule.com. If you haven't yet, consider following the show. That one small action helps these Montana businesses get seen, grow, and thrive, and it helps this podcast keep going too. If you know a business that would be a good fit for the show, we'd love to hear from you. Just reach out through the website or social. Thank you for supporting these Montana businesses. See you on the next show.